tonight on First at 9 this Tuesday, the 19th of November 2024. New beginnings. Newly appointed cabinet ministers assume duties. Pledge to depoliticize police and the justice system and restore public faith in government. Change of roles. New government changes the roles of ministry secretaries. Retains finance secretary ahead of the IMF negotiations. Modern warfare. Sri Lanka needs leaders who think beyond conventional military paradigms to face modern security challenges, says the Defence Secretary. Internal conflicts. Former President's New Democratic Front and former opposition leaders Samaga Jana Balawegaya face disputes in selecting national list nominees.
Chilo Dairy, Sri Lankawama Kiren Perata. Obe Vishwasi Dinu Sensorain, then Lagamati Pharmacy in Labagata Hacker.
Kanta Parisan Karagatot? Ape Parisan.
Asian Paints Causeway Aquasafe. Vesat Mattu Gather Disney.
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Sri Lanka's premier primetime English news bulletin, Derana First at 9. I'm Tharidu Mahendra, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and from around the world. In your top story this evening, President Anura Dissanayake has assured the International Monetary Fund that his administration would utilise the social spending allocations permitted under the IMF programme effectively to combat child poverty and malnutrition and provide better support for differently abled individuals. During his meeting with the IMF delegation led by Senior Mission Chief for Sri Lanka Peter Brewer, the head of state also urged the global lender to maintain a balanced approach towards Sri Lanka that considers the hardships faced by citizens. The president also conveyed the government's commitment to combat corruption, a prerequisite of its mandate, highlighting that the success of the IMF programme hinges on rebuilding public trust in governance. The delegation of the International Monetary Fund, led by Senior Mission Chief for Sri Lanka Peter Brewer, who are visiting the island for the third review under Sri Lanka's Extended Fund Facility, met with President Anura Dissanayake and key ministers of the newly formed government at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday to discuss the next steps in the IMF-supported programme. During the deliberations, President Dissanayake reaffirmed his government's readiness to collaborate with the IMF to advance Sri Lanka's economic recovery within the context of the mandate. He also underscored the new administration's responsibility to uphold the people's mandate, emphasizing that the success of the IMF program hinges on rebuilding public trust in governance. The IMF delegation noted that allocations for social spending had not been fully utilized previously. In response, the president assured that under his leadership, social spending allocations would be utilized effectively, with priority given to combating child poverty and malnutrition and providing better support for differently abled individuals. He also urged the IMF to maintain a balanced approach that considers the hardships faced by citizens. While reiterating his administration's commitment to the fight against corruption, a key component of the people's mandate, the president assured the IMF team that stringent laws would be implemented to enhance the legislative and institutional structures to uphold transparency and accountability.
Horizon Campus 2024 Intake 2. Register now.
Union Assurance.
Welcome to Cinnamon Life, South Asia's biggest entertainment hub, where awe awaits.
Chandurusube Kagin Manape Siga TV Sadha Supiri Deal.
Sadaharita Plantations Limited, celebrating 22 years of your trust.
The first cabinet meeting of the newly appointed ministers was held today, during which Minister of Health and Mass Media Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa was appointed as the cabinet spokesperson. Dr. Jayatissa was also appointed as the chief government whip, while Minister Bimal Ratnayake has been named as the leader of the House in the 10th Parliament. Meanwhile, several ministers officially assumed duties at their respective ministries.
The new cabinet of ministers comprising 22 members was appointed by President Anura Dissanayaka yesterday. Following the appointments, the first cabinet meeting of the new government was held today at the Presidential Secretariat. During the meeting, the Minister of Health and Mass Media, Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa, was appointed as the cabinet spokesperson for the new government. Meanwhile, several newly appointed ministers assumed duties in their respective ministries today. The Minister of Agriculture, Livestock, Land and Irrigation, K.D. Lanka, officially assumed duties at the Agriculture Ministry.
We are confident and experienced in overcoming challenges. I assure the public that we will achieve the targets in the specific areas in which they are expect improvements. It is not a difficult task. There's a small issue, but we have already discussed it. Solutions will be provided within the day.
The Minister of Health and Mass Media, Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa, also assumed duties at the Ministry of Health.
Our global reputation in healthcare has been destroyed by corrupt politics. Public trust in the health system has completely eroded away. My primary duty is to restore faith in the health system and rebuild the reputation of the ministry. The Minister of Trade, Commerce and Food Security and Cooperative Development, Wasantha Samarasinghe, assumed duties at his ministry.
අමුතුවම උත්සව සමයක් ආරම්භ වුණේ දැන්ටමත් වැඩපිළිවෙල ආරම්භ කරලා තියෙන මේ සඳහා.
Yes, we have called a meeting today to discuss the issues regarding rice stocks with the Minister of Agriculture and other officials. Decisions will be made quickly.
ගොඩක් අයට දනගස්සන්න බැරි වෙච්ච මේ හාල් මාෆියාව 100% නවත්තනවා කියන විශ්වාසය ජනතාවට දෙන්න පුළුවන්ද?
අපේ රටේ මාෆියාවන් හැදුවේ අපේ රටේ දේශපාලන මාෆියාකාරයෝ.
The mafia of this country were created by political corruption. All such elements have been removed.
The Minister of Public Security and Parliamentary Affairs, Ananda Vijaypala, officially assumed duties at the Ministry of Public Security.
The criminal justice system has been heavily politicized, especially the police department. Under the President's leadership, we have taken steps to depoliticize it and protect its independence.
Sunil Handunetti, the Minister of Industry and Entrepreneurship Development, assumed duties at his ministry.
Since the COVID-19 pandemic, many industrialists have been unable to repay loans. As a result, numerous businesses and industries are on the verge of collapse. Additionally, due to the Parate law, their lands and assets are at risk of forfeiture, preventing businesses from moving forward. To address these challenges, we plan to collaborate with private and state banks to provide solutions for issues related to raw materials, capital and market accessibility.
Minister of Energy Kumara Jayakodi assumed duties at the Ministry of Energy.
We must first define what kind of experience they mean. Perhaps we lack experience in corruption, but we are experienced in working hard. Time will tell. Currently, there is no need to remove the formula. We believe having a price formula is beneficial at the moment. If amendments are required, we will consider them. However, we are not looking to increase prices. We are committed to providing relief similar to when we previously reduced prices without relying on the formula.
The Minister of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs, Professor Hiniduma Sunil Senevi, also officially assumed duties at his ministry. Ramalingam Chandrasekhar, the Minister of Fisheries, Oceans and Ocean Resources, assumed duties this afternoon. Professor Chandana Beratna, the Minister of State Administration, Provincial Councils and Local Government, also assumed duties today. The Minister of Sports and Youth Affairs, Sunil Kumar Gamage, officially assumed duties at the Ministry of Sports.
There's an abundance of unrecognized talent in the country. We plan to identify and support these children by introducing them to sports and providing the necessary facilities.
The Minister of Justice and National Integration, Harshananaya Kara, assumed his duties at the ministry.
Our main responsibility is to restore public trust in the Ministry of Justice, the Attorney General's Department and the police force. Ministers of themselves are subject to law and cannot violate it.
නව ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවගේ කොයි කාලෙ වෙදිද මේක ගේන්න බලාපොරොත්තු
We are not setting a timeline. It will be brought forward after public consultation. However, we will not postpone it indefinitely as past governments did.
The Minister of Rural Development, Social Security and Community Empowerment, Professor Upali Panilage, officially assumed duties.
පසුගිය ආණ්ඩුව විසින් අස්වැසුම වැඩසටහන ආරම්භ කරා. අස්වැසුම වැඩසටහන යටතේ මේ වෙනකොට
The Aswasuma program, introduced by the former government, provides benefits in 3 categories in 2.4 million families. Our manifesto pledges to increase this benefit to a minimum of 10,000 rupees under the social security net. We have no intention of stopping the program.
ඒ නිසා මේක නැවැත්වීමේ අපේ කිසිම අදහසක් නැහැ.
The Minister of Women and Child Affairs, Saroja Savitri Paul Raj, officially assumed duties at the ministry in Battaramulla. We aim to ensure workplace safety, labour rights, equal pay for equal work and a safe environment for children to grow mentally and physically. Only a country with these assurances can truly be called a good nation for women and children. We will implement this comprehensive plan. In a related development, the government has issued a special notice instructing all former members of parliament to return their houses in the Madivela Parliament Members Housing Complex by the 21st of November. According to parliament officials, of the 108 residences, only 35 have been returned so far.
Meanwhile, secretaries were appointed to 16 ministries of the new government.
Secretaries were appointed to 16 ministries at the Presidential Secretariat this evening under the patronage of Secretary to the President Dr. Nandika Sanat Kumar Nayaka. Accordingly, GP Saputhandri was appointed as the Secretary to the Prime Minister, while WDMJ Fernando was named as the Secretary to the Cabinet. K.M. Mahinda Siriwardana was reappointed as the Secretary to the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. Arunirana Raja was appointed as the Secretary to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism. Senior Professor Kapila C.K. Pereira was appointed as the Secretary to the Ministry of Transport, Highways, Ports and Civil Aviation. Further, Tilakajai Sundara was appointed as the Secretary to the Ministry of Industry and Entrepreneurial Development. KMGSN Kalueva was named the Secretary to the Ministry of Education, Higher Education and Vocational Education. UG Ranjitari Ratna was appointed as the Secretary to the Ministry of Urban Development, Construction and Housing. Meanwhile, AMPMB Atapattu was appointed as the Secretary to the Ministry of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs. BK Prabhat Chandrakirti was named as the Secretary to the Ministry of Plantation and Community Infrastructure. SMP Athissa was appointed as the Secretary to the Ministry of Labour. AHMU Aruna Bandara was named as the Secretary to the Ministry of Sports and Youth Affairs. In the meantime, K.A. Vimalendra Raja was appointed as the Secretary to the Ministry of Trade, Commerce, Food Security and Cooperative Development. Retired Air Vice Marshal Sampath Tuyakonta and Ravi Senaviratna are set to continue in their roles as the Defence Secretary and the Secretary to the Ministry of Public Security and Parliamentary Affairs respectively. Further, Secretary to the Ministry of Energy KTM Udayanga Hemapala, Secretary to the Ministry of Public Administration, Provincial Councils and Local Government S. Aloka Bandara and Secretary to the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock, Land and Irrigation D.P. Vikramasinghe will also continue to hold their secretarial portfolios.
Fast track your career from O-Levels with eSoft.
After O-Levels, start your Australian degree in just 8 months with ACBT's Foundation Program. Enroll now before it's too late. Call 071 115 1234 for Colombo or 077 011 3223 for Kandy.
Diabetesol, සීනිවලින් පරිස්සම්වන ඔබට අමතක නොවන පෝෂණය.
Prime Group ලංකාවේ ප්‍රථම වතාවට හඳුන්වා දෙන land leasing ලේසියෙන් මීටමක්.
Single 1111 up to 60% off from the 11th November to the 17th of November.
Kalani wire කිසිගින්නක් නැහැ.
කිසිගින්නක් නැහැ. Kalani Fire Shield Wire.
Defence Secretary, retired Air Vice Marshal Sampath Tuyakonta says the current security challenges faced by Sri Lanka requires leaders who are capable of thinking beyond conventional military paradigms and understand the multidimensional nature of modern security challenges. Addressing the convocation of the National Defence College, the Defence Secretary added that in the coming years the NDC will undergo major changes, including opening its doors to civil sector officials. Defence Secretary retired Air Vice Marshal Sampattu Yakonta was the chief guest of the National Defence College graduation ceremony held at the General Sir John Kotalawala Defence University yesterday.
We live in an era where traditional military challenges intersect with cybersecurity threats, climate change implications, economic security and information warfare. The Indian Ocean region, our periphery, stands at the crossroad of global maritime commerce and strategic competition. Our challenges demand leaders who can think beyond conventional military paradigms and understand the multidimensional nature of modern security challenges. The NDC is poised to undergo significant transformation from next year onwards. As the course will open its doors to civil sector officials, this decision reflects the growing recognition the national security is a collective responsibility, requiring the involvement of all governance sectors. Government officials at the additional secretary level from ministries who play vital roles in national security will have the opportunity to participate in the next course, fostering greater integrity, collaboration and holistic approach to national security. Currently, the NDC Sri Lanka is in the process of signing 2 MOUs for its expansion with friendly foreign nations, highlighting the link of collaboration with other NDCs. The scrutinizing of the NDC Act is also underway.
Samagi Jana Balawege General Secretary Ranjit Manduma Bandara has been elected as a nationalist MP of the SJB, filling one of the party's 5 nationalist seats. Meanwhile, with only 1 nationalist seat remaining for the New Democratic Front, former parliamentarians Kanchana Wijesekara, Dr. Susil Premajayantha and Anura Priyadarshana have been proposed as candidates to fill it, but the party has yet to reach a final decision.
With intense competition for a limited number of parliamentary seats, the nomination process for Samagi Jana Balawege and New Democratic Front's nationalist MP positions have descended into internal strife. Former President Ranil Wickremesinghe's NDF only secured 2 nationalist seats, while the SJB led by Sajid Premadasa obtained 5 seats through the national list. The crisis deepened following former parliamentarian Ravi Karunanayake being gazetted as a nationalist MP of the NDF last night. The nomination was reportedly submitted to the Election Commission by the NDF General Secretary without the approval of the member parties, sparking dissent within the alliance. In response, former president and leader of the NDF, Ranil Wickremesinghe, expressed his dissatisfaction over the incident, claiming that the decision was taken arbitrarily without the consent of the members of the allied political parties. Against this backdrop, members of the New Democratic Front, including party leader Ranil Wickremesinghe, convened a meeting today to discuss matters pertaining to the nomination process. Former MP Ravi Karunanayake also attended the meeting at the political office in Colombo. Meanwhile, former MP Nima Lanka demanded that one of the former parliamentarians, Kanchana Wijesekara, Dr. Susil Premajayantha or Anura Priyadarshana be nominated for the nationalist MP positions if he himself is not nominated for one of the 2 nationalist seats secured by the party in parliament.
මේ වන විට රවි කරුණානායක මැතිතුමාගේ නම යෝජනා කරලා යවලා තිනවා. අපේ කණ්ඩායමම ලිඛිතව අසං කරලා දුන්නා. ඉතුරු වෙලා තියෙන එක ජාතික ලැයිස්තු මන්ත්‍රී ධූරය කාංචන විජේසේකර මන්ත්‍රීතුමාට ලබා දෙන්න කියලා. ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ විදියට ෆයිසර් මුස්තාෆා මැතිතුමාගේ නමත් නව සන්දානයේ විදියට නිබල් ලස්සා මැතිතුමාගේ නමත් යෝජනා වුණා. හිටපු ජනාධිපතිතුමා කිව්වේ දිනේෂ් ගුණවර්ධන මැතිතුමාගේ ප්‍රධානත්වයෙන් මේ සියලු කණ්ඩායම එකතු කරගෙන අවසන් එකතාවයක් පුළුවන් තරම් ඉක්මනින් හදාගන්න කියන තමයි එතුමාගේ ඉල්ලීම උනේ.
Against this backdrop, the security outside Ravi Karunanayaka's residence was heightened this morning. Meanwhile, the SJB has nominated the party's General Secretary Ranjit Manduma Bandara as one of the nationalist MPs of the SJB. The relevant nomination has already been submitted to the Election Commission. Accordingly, issuing a Gazette notification, the Election Commission has declared Bandara as one of the nationalist MPs of the Samagi Jana Balawege.
And with that, here's a look at opinions expressed by politicians regarding the appointment of the new Cabinet of Ministers.
මාත්‍යංශ නම් කිරිල්ල සහ පුද්ගලයන්ගේ විද්‍යාත්මක භාවය නම් මං හිතන්නේ ගැළපීමක් නැහැ කියන එක අදම එළි වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. උදාහරණයකට ආර්ථිකයේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඉන්න මහාචාර්යවරයා ගම්පහ දිස්ත්‍රික්කේ නියෝජනය කෙරුවේ. එතුමාව කම්කරු ඇමතිකමට දාලා තියෙනවා. අපි තාම ඉක්මන් වෙන්නේ නැහැ ඒවට උත්තර දෙන්න. මං හිතන්නේ ක්‍රියාවෙන් බලා ගන්න ඕන මොකක්ද සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ කියලා.
ඒ අමාත්‍ය මණ්ඩලයේ වැදගත් ලක්ෂණ දෙකක් තියෙනවා. එකක් සංඛ්‍යාව අවම වීම, දෙක බහුතරයක් උගත් වියත් පුද්ගලයන් වීම. මම හිතන්නේ මම ඒක අගය කරනවා. කවුරු බලයටපත් වුණත් මේ රටේ පාලනය පිළිබඳ වගකීම උගතුන්ට වියතුන්ට ලැබීම අත්‍යවශ්‍ය දෙයක්.
චන්ද්‍ර කුමාර දිසානායක මහත්තයා 3 දෙනෙක් එක්ක තමයි ජනාධිපතිතුමා. අපි 2029 මැතිවරණයේදී චන්ද්‍ර කුමාර දිසානායක මහත්තයාට තියෙන ලොකුම අභියෝගය වට අනිවාර්යයෙන් ශ්‍රී ලංකා පොදු ජන පෙරමුණපත් වෙනවා.
The Court of Appeal has granted the Attorney General until the 29th of this month to file objections related to the petition filed by former State Minister Lohan Ratwatte requesting him to be released on bail. The former State Minister and his wife were arrested and placed under remand custody on charges of using a luxury car illegally imported and assembled in Sri Lanka. The petition for bail was taken up for consideration today before a two-member appeals court judge bench. During the hearing, the Additional Solicitor General, who appeared on behalf of the Attorney General, requested a period of 4 weeks to file objections. But President's Counsel Sanjay Rajaratne, who appeared on behalf of Ratwatte, requested that the court grant a shorter period. Accordingly, the court ordered the AG's department to file objections before the 29th of November and ordered the petition to be recalled on the 9th of December. Welcome back. Now, the number of Sri Lankan students studying at US colleges and universities during the 2023-24 academic year has surged by 10%, reflecting a growing trend of Sri Lankan students seeking higher education in the United States. The US Embassy in Colombo noted that this growth underscores the robust educational ties between the two nations, as well as the global appeal of US higher educational institutions. The 2024 Open Doors Report on International Educational Exchange revealed that the United States welcomed an all-time high of 1.12 million international students from more than 210 countries and territories, reaffirming its position as the leading destination for higher education. The US Embassy stated that Sri Lanka's contribution to this number demonstrates the continued appeal of US higher education as a destination of choice for students seeking higher education. Several prominent business entities, including the Indo-Lanka Chamber of Commerce and Industry as well as the Sri Lanka Banks Association, extended their congratulations to President Anura Dissanayake and the newly elected government. The Indo-Lanka Chamber of Commerce and Industry meanwhile noted that it is eager to work together to strengthen bilateral relations between Sri Lanka and India, adding that they hope to see a significant boost in trade, investment and tourism between the two nations. The members and executive committee of the Indo-Lanka Chamber of Commerce and Industry extended their congratulations to the newly elected government and all members of parliament. The ILCCI expressed its confidence that Sri Lanka would embrace a culture of integrity, good governance and sustainable development under the leadership of the new government. The Indo-Lanka Chamber of Commerce further noted that the newly elected government's leadership is crucial not only in addressing immediate challenges but also in laying the foundation for long-term prosperity and equity across the nation. The ILCCI asserted that it is particularly eager to work together to strengthen bilateral relations between Sri Lanka and India, adding that they hope to see a significant boost in trade, investment and tourism between the two nations. The chamber added that both nations are capable of unlocking their full potential and achieving mutual prosperity through fostering strong economic ties and improving the ease of doing business. The ILCCI added that it will continue to contribute to building a thriving economic ecosystem, whether it is in the form of facilitating cross-border partnerships, supporting policy initiatives or advocating for industry needs. Meanwhile, the Colombo Rubber Traders Association extended its congratulations to the National People's Power on their recent victory. The CRTA also congratulated Samantha Widyarathne on his appointment as the new Minister of Plantation and Community Infrastructure. The CRTA further said it looks forward to a productive partnership with the government in advancing Sri Lanka's plantation industry. In the meantime, the Planters Association of Ceylon also congratulated President Anura Dissanayake and the NPP on their recent electoral victory. The association also extended its congratulations to the newly elected Minister of Plantation and Community Infrastructure. Furthermore, the association pledged its full support towards collaborative efforts to help develop the Sri Lankan plantation industry while uplifting the communities connected to it. Furthermore, the association pledged its full support towards collaborative efforts to help develop the Sri Lankan plantation industry while uplifting the communities connected to it. The Planters Association noted that it remains committed to partnering with the government to overcome challenges and leverage opportunities, contributing to a thriving plantation sector that aligns with national goals for economic development, sustainability and social progress. The Sri Lanka Banks Association too congratulated President Anura Dissanayake on his party's victory at the parliamentary election and further pledged its continued support to the new government in the journey ahead. The Banks Association assured its commitment to ensuring financial stability, adding that recent interactions with the Presidential Secretariat have established confidence in the new government's inclusive approach to problem solving. The Colombo Bourse closed in negative territory today after 7 consecutive days of gains. The broader all-share price index closed 0.95% lower at 13,105.38 points, while the more liquid S&P SL20 fell by 1.66% to close at 3,914.23 points. Market turnover was recorded at 6 billion rupees. The capital goods sector was the top contributor to market turnover, followed by the banking sector. Foreign investors closed as net sellers of floating shares worth 873 million rupees. And with that, let's take a look at the rupee exchange rate for the day. And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of First at 9. Thank you for joining and have a good night.